Afternoon. It's Shirley with Spirit of Matter here on the Sun Day and Sun Hour. And the Sun is in the ninth house, 27 degrees. Um, Applying to oppose Saturn though, and separating from the square to Uranus. Midheaven is right with Mercury, and this is, in the ascendant is ruled by Jupiter. Midheaven ruled by Mercury. Jupiter in the sixth here, squaring this Venus retrograde in Leo. And this is a weekly forecast. Now, for those of you who have been watching this channel, I don't often do weekly forecasts recently, and that's for a very good reason. Because not every week needs a forecast, okay? Sometimes it's good to know what is Venus doing, what is happening in the skies, but this week is quite a pivotal week. And this is, I call it the week of retrogration. So without further ado, if we go to our monthly calendar, we see, yes, the Sun, of course, on August 23rd is entering Virgo. So yes, Sun is changing signs. And Mercury becomes direct on the same day. So as the Sun changes from ingresses into Virgo tropically, Mercury becomes retrograde. Okay? And Mercury will stay retrograde also to September. Venus is retrograde throughout the whole month. So we still have Venus to go by. And Uranus is retrograde on the 29th, actually. So this should include the 29th. So we have a week where Venus will still be retrograde, but Uranus and Mercury go retrograde as well. And as Venus will exit the retrogration, which was going to be next month, it's going to be on September already. And I want to show you. So Venus, okay, Jupiter will go retrograde on September 4, and Venus goes direct on the same day. So Mercury will only go direct on September 15. Okay, so those are two very intense weeks, especially with Jupiter going retrograde and Venus going direct. But I will begin with this week. So we have the Sun entering Virgo, and on the same day we're having a Mercury retrograde. So yes, if I animate this chart just a little bit, I'll probably see the retrograde as well. The Sun ingresses to Virgo when the Lord of the ingress, a couple of hours later, is going retrograde, and the Sun is applying to oppose Saturn. Okay, this is a timestamp of the opposition to Saturn that is true to everything that will ingress into Virgo, including Lilith, including Venus. So the ingress is with the Moon applying to sextile Mercury, and it's the same time that Mercury will go retrograde on the 21st degree of Virgo, and will stay retrograde all the way to September 15. Okay. Uranus is still direct here, but on the 29th, right before the full moon in Pisces, Uranus goes retrograde as well. So what's interesting about this chart? Mercury is going retrograde when it almost opposes Neptune. Okay, it's not at a tight 3 degrees, but it's definitely an opposition by Sun, and it's definitely a tighter opposition than the wider orbs that we use, so it's definitely in act. That means anything that opposes Neptune becomes blurry. So Mercury opposing Neptune is kind of like Mercury retrograde anyways, and now it's going to station retrograde, and that is going to make it even more confusing. So we know the cliche Mercury retrograde, the details go blurry, but not only blurry. Think about the retrogration phase as out of the chaos emerges a new order. So there's a certain chaos, there's a certain something is lost, something is found, or you try to look for a document, somebody, now you get the call, you need to look for this document, you can't find this document, but oh, look at what the other things that you found, maybe family photos from before, maybe some other documents, maybe some details that change the whole picture. This is the nature of Mercury retrograde. In Virgo is extra details, details around trade, details about, pictures that we haven't seen. Maybe even you find a certain, herb batch that was hidden in the house. That can also be the effect of that one. And this retrogration is with Mercury trining Uranus in Taurus. So even though there is a trine between Uranus and Mercury, it still adds to the expect the unexpected thingy. Some unexpected eurekas, some unexpected truths, some unexpected communication appears. So out of the lies, a truth appears. Okay? It can even be intentional or not intentional gaslighting that exposes a certain truth. Somebody didn't mean, somebody was lying, and somehow a certain truth was discovered in some weird way. Uranus nature is nature that is a bit revolutionary, so you can expect certain facts to be uncovered, certain, or maybe you're suddenly able to go over, or you suddenly see something you weren't supposed to see, that shifts the gravity of things. And this Mercury retrograde is annoying, but it's very much needed. We haven't had a Mercury retrograde in Virgo in a while. So, and Virgo is a sign that Mercury rules. And so we have been relying on pillars of communication for a while in our speech, in our documents, in our bureaucracy, in our trade, that we need to go over and redo. So agreements, contracts, the way we do technology, the way we store our coins, the very type of coinage we use, and also things to do with children, because Mercury also rules children, the type of humor we consume. Okay, Mercury retrograde. Now, the retrogration can bring things from the past. So we know of Mercury as the axis because it's communication. And going over communication, usually we communicate with people we were in some relations to. And axes are inclusive. Venus is still retrograde throughout the major part of the Mercury retrograde. And so extra emphasis on communicating, closing things, going over things. If you recently had a divorce, then you might finalize the divorce, or you might pay attention to exact details of a separation. So for example, I was in the house, I was, buying that thing you used to basically mash things into powder. I don't know how you call it. I read how it is, but I forgot the word. And I was buying that from a certain house that was selling their stuff, and it was a husband and wife that divorced, and they only came together to sell the things that they had together, and they already sold the house. So it can be something like this, that you're going over, finalizing, and then you find this item, you find that item, things remind you of things, and you get these certain closures. or for those of you that are somehow are supposed to come back and stay together, then that can also occur. That the return is under a retrogration phase, and it can also mean that you will be communicating with people that are represented by Virgo in your chart that you didn't, or by Gemini to some degree, that you didn't communicate in a while. You will either be thinking about them, or you will have bureaucracy that you need to sort with them, and that is the usual Mercury retrograde stuff. On a mundane level, we are talking about trade, and we are talking about children, and we are talking about mass media, um, social media, and how algorithms. Oh, algorithm is a big word here. There were even ideas. I read a Twitter post that says, with all the hacking and the age of air, how come there are not people who hack into the systems of governments and make it so that they erase all the depth of people from the system? Like, how come that's not happening? To which I responded, it's up to us, the people, to do so, and we should. So we might see something like that. We might see certain, not necessarily erasure of depths here, um, but more hacking into systems of trade is something that can definitely happen with the Uranus here. Systems that register land. Think about off-grid, what is off-grid, what is not off-grid. Hacking and putting a lot of land off-grid. That is actually a good initiative to do, because we're all going to need that. So put in a lot of trade off-grid, put in a lot of land off-grid, and basically creating this chaos, destroying a horse that is very much in alignment of the spirit of the times, that we are asked to do, and kind of putting it in the system that are involved with which land is this? Is this land registered? Does this house belong to someone? Okay, those tricks and games can be perhaps more easily done in the age of air. We might see that on mundane levels. So trade, because of the presence of Uranus, also land distribution, registry of land, registry of trade. Oh, Virgo is also healthcare system, okay? And it's not healthcare system as Pisces. Pisces is about viral infections, addictions, something is fluid and liquid, difficult to diagnose diseases, with Saturn chronic stuff. Virgo is the nervous system, is in the relation to the intestines. Okay, so the intestines and your nervous system. So how does stress affect your nervous system, and how does stress affect your intestines? Okay, so this is where poisoning, but also the conditions of whether it's sixth house labor, of work. Oh, Virgo is also work and service. What is the situation of nurses? Those kind of things will also be addressed at this time on a mundane level. Um, I will give you a detailed example. Something is very Mercury Virgo, okay? And I was assisted by at least one being that had a Pluto in Virgo when I saw this. And the thing was, when I was in between houses in Netherlands, I was in a shelter. There were two nurses. And these two, it was a shelter of the GGD, which is the health organization there, health municipality, and ministry. And these nurses, it was a COVID lockdown shelter, so only because of COVID they put us there, but they wanted us to go from 9 in the morning to 5 in the evening outside with our stuff in the freezing cold, which would make us, of course, spread diseases. Not that I complain that I have to go outside always, and you don't want to stick in one place completely. But the thing is that there were two nurses there, and you're like, how come these nurses don't, and they were complaining to nurses that they didn't have enough shifts during COVID, okay? And they had to go to a shelter, like they went homeless supposedly because they didn't have enough shifts in hospitals. They were nurses, okay? Now you can get the problem. They were both rats, of course. They were trying to find if people try to fool the government or something like this, and try to make sure if you're working, not working. Yeah, so of course they were rats. They were probably not nurses. But you understand the cover story is that they were nurses and that they did not have enough shifts in a global pandemic. Okay? Mercury Virgo will make you pay attention to these details. This picture that is running around with the recent disaster that we had. I'm not going to say no names for algorithms, blah, blah, blah. But there was a picture, a very clear picture, that all the houses in some place are destroyed but one. And that one belonged to a certain public figure. So those kind of pictures running around, trying to censor them, war of information now with the co-presence of Mars and Mercury, blurry things, missing information may be found, and some unexpected truths are going to be uncovered. So this is the Mercury thing on a mundane level. In your personal chart, well, I'm going to do these energies probably together, but in your personal chart, it just means that the things represented, what house is it, and where is Mercury for you, okay? So for me, it's the seventh house, so I know if somebody I live in close relations to, one-on-one relations, maybe one of the neighbors, mother, or something like this. Mother because she has a stellium in my seventh, not because she's my mother. And those kind of communication to go over things, find maybe new documents or something like this. And it's the ruler of my fourth, so maybe my makler, my landlord would want to revisit some things or in documents or something like this, okay? But for you, maybe it is sixth house, so maybe somebody at work, or you need documents for work, or second house, certain communication skill that you have. Maybe you return to give some consultation, or maybe you teach a class about communications and stuff like that. So as you can see, of course, exes can be coming back to speak with you, and with Venus retrograde, you're reevaluating the relations, or you could be reevaluating where to spend your money, where to store your money, stuff like that, where to consume communication, to whom do you believe, maybe things that you thought were conspiracy theory, now you're like, oh, that was not conspiracy theory, or in the other way around, maybe things that you believed in, now you say, oh, I'm questioning that, I'm not sure, I'm looking at more aspects of this picture. So this is rethinking communication, trade, energy exchange, any form of exchange, things to do with children, and technology, and all these things that Mercury rules. Speech. So now let's go to the Uranus. And Uranus turns retrograde August 29. Yeah, we'll have to animate the chart a bit. This is, by the way, Exit.com. It's a completely free website that you can just do literally anything astrological with, and it's absolutely for free. It's absolutely for free. You don't have to donate anything. You don't have to, it's just a free website, and it's a blessing for all of us. So the obsession of one person became a big reality that makes this thing accessible to us all, from the very beginner to the most expert. Uranus retrogration. So Uranus goes retrograde, yeah, if we do a couple of hours. Yes. So the chart for the retrogration. Uranus is going retrograde on 23rd degree of Taurus. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while and you know that I mentioned the degree theory of Nicholas Stoyanovich, what happens with Mercury leaves the 23rd degree in retrogration? It goes to the 22nd degree of Taurus. Okay? And this will be happening. Let us see that this will be happening within 3 days. I want to show you when will it be again, because this is actually important. Yeah, it moves on the minute. It's kind of like 3 days on the minute. So it had 4 minutes. And okay, September, I cannot even. Sorry. Oh my God, this is a. Okay, I'm not saying some disaster will happen here, but I cannot ignore the fact that Uranus goes back to the degree of to kill or be killed on the 22nd degree of Taurus on September 11, 2023. And the Sun will be on the 18th degree of Virgo, applying to trine it. And the Moon applying to square it. Look, I'm not saying something like the September 11 is going to happen, okay? But you must understand the irony. Because I said I must see when is Uranus going on the 22nd again. 22nd degree is going to stay there for quite some time. So 22nd degree is the degree of to kill or be killed, and on a national level. This is such a, when you know that you don't know what to do, so you are laughing. So this is the situation. This is basically where you could have terror, you can have bombings, you can have natural or artificially natural disasters. You can have the type of things that the algorithm fact checkers check facts for. And yes, so I'm not saying something immediately is going to happen. I just couldn't ignore the September 11. I'm sorry. It's just, when is it happening, September 11? No, I don't think it would not be, like something like September 11 right away. It is not out of the question that something like this can happen within the time of Uranus on the 22nd. I didn't delineate September 11, okay? I don't know enough about it, but we're also not looking for this particular thing. Now, we do have a revolution to do with trade and to kill and be killed, okay? Like, it was World Trade Center buildings. But here, it's more about banks, big banks, land, big real estate, big land, my God, it is something like this. I don't, again, it can be so many things. It can, but here, the 22nd degree, there are casualties, okay? There are casualties. I want to check. I didn't think, I will do it in this order, but no, I don't have, do I have? No, I don't have what I wanted to check. I will do it in another episode. But this is something that we need to pay attention to. So yes, there is the retrograde of Uranus. Retrograde of Uranus simply means that we are rethinking revolution. Okay? That is, there is a lot of humor in revolution. As a person whose work is linked to philosophy of science, where you usually check what happened. How do you check how science progresses? You check scientific revolutions. How do you check how politics works? You check revolutions. Okay, you study revolutions also in politics. And my joke about Uranus retrograde or about revolutions is that, oh, once upon a time, in those days, they used to make revolutions. They used to make and this is exactly the spirit of Uranus, okay? This is the spirit of Aquarius as well. You basically are having a, longing for the past that is revolutionary. Revolutionary is about the future, okay? It's that kind of false, stuffy. I don't know if that translates to like other cultures in the way that it translates to Western culture, because this is the context where I study this, but it's a false, stuffy influence of changing the times and counting 1, 5, 2, 3, 7, 8, 11, 12, 8, 9, okay, then you count like this and you change the time and you make chaos, and out of this chaos emerges a whole new order. I cannot say it's without the 22nd degree, there is something blessed, there's something liberating, there is something funny, there is a crescendo of humor and rage and enthusiasm and liberation, and the Kundalini rise as well, it's a quite sexual one. When it is good, when it's even in its best, okay, Uranus at its best is the sudden affair that you have with someone that you didn't expect to have. Okay, this is at its best. Okay, it's the midlife crisis when Uranus opposes Uranus. You're like, what is who parked this car here? Who did you invite home? I did. You have a Ferrari. Yes. You know how much debt we have. Yes, you took debt to buy this Ferrari. Absolutely. Okay? This is at the best case, this is the Uranus position. Okay? It's where relationships try to become non-monogamous. Some are destroyed, some are revived. It's where two people have an affair, both of them divorce, and both of them end up not living with their previous partners and not living with each other, but one of them becomes a painter, one of them becomes an artist, or you could go into relationships that actually last, and if you have like a natal charting, it's like now you're in the right path, now you're in a good relationship. It has to do with the Kundalini rise, which has to do with what you came here to do, your life energy. So if you're living your life mission, you are in your life energy, and the body is healthy, and you can have good sex, and so on. So it is about this liberating effect. Yes, of course, boundaries, as you have understood, in this little introduction, are not really. It is about breaking the status quo. It's about liberating yourself from the constraint of society, more so than enforcing anything. So, yes, it can go sour. Yes, it can go wrong. Yes, it can mean that there are certain boundaries that you should have respected. That is also something that happens with Uranus. So, off of the 22nd degree is basically rethinking revolution. There can still be bombings, there can still be explosives, there can still be all these things. But you could be, for example, rethinking monogamy, rethinking Uranus transits in your life, rethinking the teenager, rethinking how do you do a revolution, rethinking the values that you fight for, rethinking liberation. Actually, there's something I wanted to record. If you know Bella Ciao, then the line is muerto per la libertad, it's basically died for freedom, and I wanted to record it in per la libertad vivir, okay, that we live for the freedom, the freedom or our motherland or the promised land. It's not something we die for. It's not my original idea, absolutely not. There is a very, very famous public figure. I think they are no longer with us. I think it was Chaim Topol, okay, a very famous actor, Jewish actor, and he said, to live for your country oh sorry, to die for your country, okay, is a very blessed thing, but you must do it at a very old age and having lived a very good life. Okay, it is good to die for your country, but it should be natural death at a very old age after living a very good life. And this is the spirit of Uranus retrograding Taurus. Okay, it comes to liberate. How do we liberate the land? Do we liberate it by war? Do we liberate it by bombing? So do we liberate it by singing, by dancing, by making love? You know, ecosexuality. I discovered about this recently. Ecosexuality, which is for those of you for whom it is completely new, you get erotically aroused and orgasmic by being in touch with nature. And this is so interesting, you know? Uranus is just like this. It's like there's this whole type. How do you liberate the land? It's like you orgasm. I don't know. You know, it's way better to do it like this. And it gives you this the joie de vivre. The joie de vivre. It's like the unusualness of things. And you enjoy the sense of discovery. And it is something that can allow you to connect and to detach when it's needed, or to abrupt connection, abrupt disconnect as well, which, you know, it also has to have some side that can be annoying, but it's also very needed, because if you have been dragging on of the relation, if you have a relation or something's been dragging, comes Uranus, poof, you enter somewhere completely different, and the poof is on, poof, you change. It's like this. It's revolution. I remember when before I was in Netherlands, and I was given the analogy of belly dance, because in belly dance you separate the movement, you learn one movement, then another movement, and you connect the movements. When I was in Amsterdam, it was like this. I traveled one place, then traveled. What is travel? There was homeless, but we traveled one. I was in one place, then in another place, then in another place. Then by the end of the 3 months, I knew I began to connect with somebody. Donated money for me to be on the metro. So I was traveling the entire Amsterdam, and finally I was traveling, okay? And everything that I saw began to connect like in belly dancing, and I began to know the city. Okay, it's a big city. I come from small cities, so and I had Uranus going over my sun. It is those type of things where there's a chaos. Out of the chaos is very, very difficult. Okay, especially in Taurus, because Taurus is land. Okay, so you will be encountering this phase and that phase and that phase and that phase and that phase. Then all of these experiences begin to form a certain order. They begin to make sense. You begin to understand the whole of the way they work together. So enjoy. And that is the way things were. And by the way, by the end of this, I returned to connection with one of my parents that I couldn't connect with without us both going crazy. So this was a miracle. Okay. And they have Uranus, I think, in the 7th house, or hard aspect in the 7th house. It was like my gift that some things began to be arranged in a way we had enough space and enough connection. So, yeah, this is the power of Uranus. Uranus transits, Uranus retrograde is rethinking those patterns, rethinking revolutions, rethinking the way we've asserted ourselves, rethinking what happens when our Kundalini rises, rethinking why do we want the Kundalini rise. You know, for most people, for me, it happens, poof, it just happens. But there are a lot of people that try to go out and raise their Kundalini and do this and do workshops. And why do you want to do this? What are you expecting? What do you desire there? Okay, maybe you want to set your desire, and the experience will come and it will be fitting for you. For me, it was different. I was afraid of the Kundalini rise and the this and the that, and I was scared of it because I was hearing people are going crazy and so on. And for me, it happened in a way that was so tender. I was holding Shiva Lingam, and it just happened, and I didn't understand even what and how, but it was very beautiful and quite tender. And I remember this experience until today, the first time that I experienced this. And that is also like rethinking those enlightenment period and rethinking Uranus itself. We might see, with Saturn, before Saturn retrograde, it's Saturn ingress into Pisces. And I think after the retrogration, we suddenly have new views of Saturn. I think Ksenia Moore was posting on Saturn, new views on Saturn. Um, so with the Uranus retrograde, we might also have certain discoveries around Uranus, around space, rethinking something, rethinking the effect of Uranus itself. It is the great liberator Kundalini rise, but yes, it is also the terrorist bomber, and terror and sudden explosions. Yes, Uranus Taurus, if I think I go back, I did not delineate the September 11, okay? I did not delineate this. I think, in high school when this happened. I remember this shock still because I went to work and we had a kitchen worker. It was in McDonald's I was working, and we had a kitchen worker who was Arabic, but he wanted to join Hamas. He was in maybe his teenage, and that's how he expressed his teenagehood. But the thing is, he was holding the very big knife and he was happy. So he was happy holding this very big knife and happy that what happened there. And I told him, are you crazy? Because I was just so scared. I was told, are you crazy? And she threatened me. And I didn't sleep for 3 nights. and I remember this until today. I was like, how can you be happy when so many people die? So I have this picture of him holding this big knife and being happy and then threatening me with his anger. And I'm like, oh, okay. And we lived, it was Ramat Gan, it was a place where, Jews, gays, people, Arabs, everybody lives with everybody. So you weren't thinking about, yes, there was terror, but you weren't thinking about, the person that you spend your shift with and you run your jokes with for them to threaten you. So it was in the spur of the moment. And I did not delineate it. I don't try to delineate it, but I can't forget the image of the raging bull. Do you know the statue of the girl that faces up to the raging bull that was put in front of the trade centers? My darlings, the raging bull. Okay, bull is Taurus. A revolutionary terroristic attack around big banks that are represented by the bull. This is exactly what Uranus on the 22nd degree is. Now, of course, 9/11 was not Uranus in Taurus, because Uranus in Taurus is literally has not been here since 1939. Okay, so you're thinking trade centers, I'm thinking completely other things, but the particular September 11th thingy, I don't think it will be necessarily on September 11th, but we must understand that Uranus is going to stay quite a while in this 22nd degree, and this is from September 11. Let's check. 1 week at least, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Okay, now we're going to do it by the day. So 5 weeks and okay, from September 11th until 20th of October. And what do we have in October? The eclipse. So we're going to have Uranus on the 22nd degree of Taurus, with the moon triggering it on and off until the eclipse. To say that those revolutions are not needed is going to be a big lie, because we understand that there is an attempt to enforce social credit score on the entire humanity. And Uranus is revolting. So this includes casualties, and this is a month on and off. It's not September 11th. September 11th was one event, okay? It was one day where we had Twin Towers, something with the Pentagon or the White House, or I don't know, and another tower. This is what we know. Um, it was one day, okay? Here we have not one day, we have more than 1 month. It's 1 month and 9 days that Uranus is going to spend on the 22nd degree in retrograde, and then when it's going to go direct, it's going to go over it again for another 1 month. Okay, so this is not the World Trade Centers. The World Trade Centers, it was one huge event coming one day. This one is, and we can go back to what happened when Uranus was in the 22nd degree of Taurus up until not long ago. So we had the ongoing raging war in Ukraine, which was which was before that, it was after that. We had some natural disasters, as we always have this season. It was not only Uranus there playing a part. So we had revolutions, religious revolutions. We had the reaction to them. We had radicalization of the discourse, radicalization of protests. And it's very difficult to say what we had more because, you know, a lot of things are hidden. Algorithm things. Yeah. And there was quite a raging violence. It was true. It was raging violence. But you know, Mars was also in Leo. I think it was since Mars was in Leo, still was on the 22nd degree. And so there was the square from the Sun, and there was the square from Venus, and there was the square from Lilith that was trining also Aries. Now, we are actually applying to the trine with Pluto. So, to tell you that I know what will this Uranus retrogration bring, exactly, obviously attempts to push through medication the change of the financial structure, and not in favor of humanity. But there are also hackers, there are also terrorists in hacking, and this, and my humble advice is that when you think about resisting, you are not thinking about preserving, because Rahu is in Aries with Aries. You are thinking about being more inclusive, to push towards more inclusivity of people with new identities, new lands, new autonomies. This is what you're thinking, because if you are just fighting to keep things as they are, you are bound to be taken with the flow, you know. But if you are if you are innovating in your revolution, then you are going somewhere. And this is what the spirit of this year and a half is encouraging for you, to go somewhere. Okay, bring some stuff from the past, but to go somewhere. It just means we are making a change, but we are making a change to go somewhere else. Okay, what do we want? Where is this somewhere else? Do we want to go to the past where everybody lived in a tribe, and if you were excluded, if you're not claimed by a tribe, you are dying in exile. You're food to the animals. Okay? Do we want to go back there? No. It's not about going back or idealizing the past. It's saying what is good. Okay? We want to live with nature, but we also want to be more inclusive in our societies. We also want to have more rights for the individual. Okay, if everybody's going to just let's do communities the way they always did, the way this, the way that, and you know, you're not learning from the past. You're just making the same things that were only partially working in the past. Okay, if you think about the past and you think, oh, that was so wonderful, then you will go back there. Maybe you will be successful, but you must understand that there's a reason that things change. What do we take from the future? Or what do we take from the present into the future? or what do we take that is useful, and how do we innovate? Okay, it's not about restoration in as much as it is about innovation. And so our rebelliousness and resistance is about, okay, it's not about, okay, let's not go this way, let's not go this way, let's not, it's like, let's go that way, let's go that way, how about that way, hey, we haven't tried this, hey, let's go that way, let's take that and go there. This is what we are supposed to be doing, and I'm summoning to be doing this in the way that is actually nourishing, is actually contributing to myself and to humanity, and for you to be on the same path. So this week, Uranus, not this week, on the 29th, Uranus begins its retrogration. It begins its retrogration while Mercury is still retrograde, but Mercury will not be retrograde forever. And it will take until September 11, until it goes into the 22nd degree. So it's going to be on the 23rd degree in retrogration. You will begin to rethink all the themes that I just mentioned. So terror, revolution, land, banking, even the September 11, you might be rethinking that too. What happened, what this, what that. Maybe some things that you thought are conspiracy are now seen differently, or maybe some things that you said, oh, I believe this, then you realize that some other options can be there too. And there is a call for liberation. But this call for liberation is going through the degree of to kill and be killed. Is going through a degree where your voice, your values, your land, your money can involve situations where somebody is dying and you are living. Okay? And this is it is a degree where you're called to allow those things that need to die so that you can live, basically. If you have something particularly in the 22nd degree, if you have something at the end of Taurus, you will be affected. But if you have something on the 22nd degree, so that you will live, certain things have to die. It can be pests, it can be people, it can be circumstances, it can be something is dead to you, but in a way that you kill it. Okay? It can be ceremonial and can be ritualistic, but it does mean that there is just this situation. Okay? And with Uranus, it is not a personal death, it is on a humanity level. Okay? Certain segments of society must be killed so that other segments of society can live. Who is going to take this? Okay, who is going to live out? The people that says, let's go this way. Let's go this way. Not let's stay put. Let's go, but this way. Let's do Taurus this way. This is a way we haven't been doing Taurus before. Let's go that way. Okay? And if the only this way and that way is social credit score, cameras in every city, limited lockdowns because of climate, blah, 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 then if nobody offers another way, then this is the point of attraction. But if we say, no, let's go that way. And I opened another video where I told you about the rising of Sirius and the rising of Venus, that it is good to step on the soil, to see the sky, the clear skies, and get ideas and see how. So it's both about remembering and relearning from the past, from history, but it is also about innovating. Okay, let's go this way. Think, who are the people who survived even the Second World War? Okay, a lot of them have to be in exile. And the lesson for Viktor Frankl, the people who went somewhere, they went to a certain sort of promised land. Okay, Maybe they had an idea that in the United States they will have artistic freedom, they will have this, they will have that. So they were either filmmakers, artists, composers. They were going to actual scientists. They were going there. Okay, some people came to Israel. So they said, this is the promised land. This is the land of our forefathers. This is that, and they had a certain vision. They had something to live for. Okay, it doesn't mean that all of them survived, but of the people that did, they had something to live for. There was something that, and this something was beyond the self. Okay, it was an idea. They lived for a certain idea that preserved them through the difficult times. And it is now the spirit of the times that we are thinking about these things, because it is not about standing still, but about moving forward. The soul is going towards the eternal, towards the idealistic, and those things that, you know, there is this saying that always look to the moon, always go for the moon. Even if you will fall, you will land among the stars. And this is very true. This is very true, because when you have a big vision, and when I was doing my channeling experience, I got this like Sedona, and I was going with this, and I began to realize that this Sedona was like the promised land. That you were supposed to get to. I didn't get to Sedona. I got to the place that is most resembling of Sedona in Israel that you can possibly think of. It's an artistic village in the mountains, where not only in the mountains, in the red mountains. Okay, that we really have like red rocks. And it's a touristic place. Now it's became more orthodox, but it was like, my gosh, this really is the closest to the closest to Sedona, and the certain things that were coming from songs that I was listening to. And I understood that this crusade, so to speak, this Sedona thing is kind of like a movie, where you go and you have this goal. I'm supposed to go to the promised land, and you don't even know why, and you don't even know this, but you try to go to that promised land, and it's both about the how do I get there, okay, to enjoy the way and to enjoy the goal. And even if this goal seems like, oh, okay, it's just another place that has great energy with like many in the world. And then you find out that there is housing crisis in Sedona, and then you find out that people are kind of like, stabbing each other's back in Sedona. But then you find also about great things there, and this is more like, with Rao in Aries, is more like where we are heading. You're gonna have your personal promised land, your personal Sedona, and you're gonna go to that. So you need to understand what is this Sedona, and then you will understand that even within everything, even if you fall, you didn't reach there, you didn't this, the place where you are at is composed of all the fabrics of your dreams, of your desires, of your wishes, and you get that. Even if it's a fragment of that, it's already way better than where you've been. Okay, this is why when I'm talking about stepping on soil, balancing the nervous system, looking at the night sky, having fresh food to eat, having the ability, the liberation to be yourself wherever you are, and to also have nice communication with people, even if they are different than you, and have people that are different than you as well. Okay, so it is interesting. And that is, kind of the energy that we are bringing. And on the particular 22 degree, it is where we allow those things that need to perish. Okay, if there are groups of people that are pushing away, marginalizing, castrating, not tending to society, thinking that only the strongest, the strongest survives, and only might is right, and those people are extinguishing communities that live in a way that of to live and let live, and willing consent, and they don't overpopulate because they care about enjoying also the present. but they also don't refrain from life, then it is okay for those Nazi Nazi-like communities, the Nazi-like people, those Nazi-like thinkers. It is okay for either their ways to perish or for them to perish if this is how they behave. It is okay that they will perish and they will be compost to our roses. It is okay. Okay? This is the wisdom of that Uranus 22nd degree. Okay? Because there are other people who think, and this is where polarities form, okay? And the 22nd is the degree of Saturn, is the degree of death and decay and limitations and boundaries and restrictions and separations. And so this is where we live a certain type of illusion where we are polarized until somebody lives and somebody dies. Okay? And with Venus is what is your value? What do you give life to, and what is it okay for you for that to perish? Okay? It is okay for the people who think that people should be put in concentration camps and destroyed and killed because of whatever, if they are gay or if they are of this religion, of that religion, and they don't harm anybody, and they should like die like flies. It is okay that the people who do this, who give the order, it is okay for them to perish. It's okay. So that is what we need to keep in mind. And also that we are not resisting the future. We are liberating ourselves in that way. We're going over there. We are liberating ourselves. We're making a change. But in this way, we are revolutionizing, but to that direction. One of the most beautiful things that I saw, for example, in Israel, there is a religious revolution. And one of the ways the Orthodox priests that were saying, like, I don't remember the way that they said, or they said something is not a big sacrifice in order to live. We should live together like brothers. And it is not a big sacrifice if you wear something on you, or even in places that were secular, or that women don't go to this side of the bus, or don't go to the bus in some days. It's just a small sacrifice. And so secular people and secular men responded, and they say, it is not a big sacrifice if we have public transportations on Saturdays, if we have they say the army service for everybody, or we have total separation between the religion and the state, and you can get married and get divorced without the rabbinical Orthodox people all up in your intimacy, and this is a small sacrifice so that we can live. And this is a good reaction. Why? Because it doesn't mean, no, we want to stop we want to stop change, we want to stop progress. No, it means we want to progress, but this way. We want to go, but this way. And now we are having a discourse, because now both people have vision. You have vision, we have vision. And so when you have vision, a lot of your vision is going to come about. If you don't have vision, how did, for example, a Prime Minister Bibi came into ruling? Because the entire left, and I guess it was a politically, globally organized, that we're using the political parties like puppets, has happened globally. But for many decades, the entire left was only campaigning, don't vote for Bibi, until there was literally a joke. And as a lefty, I was with this joke that is saying Aralab, which means Harak Lo Bibi, which means the only not Bibi party. And this is insane, if you don't create another alternative, if you don't say, we vote for this, and only say we vote against that, then it's not good. It's happened the same with Trump. This has happened the same with Trump to some degree, And this is how eventually Bibi became so powerful. Because everybody was putting their power in the hands of one man. Okay? So in times of revolution, in times of radical changes, it's not about, we want to buy cars just like we always did. Look for something new that we want to do. Something that we haven't done before that we think is good in regards to trade, in regards to, for example, never have we ever had the right to ownership of land independent of marriage. Never have we ever. Okay? Let's go this way. Okay? Never have we ever had total separation between partners as they divorce in terms of their financial eligibility to one another, while the debt is only for the children, and it is individual. So, for example, you don't have to rely on your abusive partner for them to give money for your children. Okay, that it comes from the state, or that it comes from the money that you had invested in taxes, and with the brackets of investment that it goes through in the state, then you can receive it back, which is the truth. This is a welfare. Nobody lives on the account of hardly ever, unless they were born like sick or something like this. So never have we ever had that. Oh, we want to go that way. Okay. Never have we ever had a situation where people can just have a digital coin that exchanges itself to whichever rate we are, independent to whichever rate of the place we are, independent of the government as well as the company that originated this coin. Okay, never have we ever had that. Okay, never have we ever had the absolute freedom of a person to exit a land, a cold, any place, and drive through public transportation and have food and residence wherever, and be independent of any shelter, of any, something like this, where they can go to and they can move freely as they exit, like human trafficking and stuff, and they don't have to pay tickets, and they don't have to register anywhere. Never have we ever had that. Let's go that way. Okay. And as you are listening to this, and as you're on come to the 22nd degree, you are welcome to come in and rejoin and re-listen to this episode. Because you want to think about the new, you want to think about change, and you want to think about the new and change in favor of yourself and humanity. Okay? Those who will be the grand thinkers are those who get to participate in the pie. Okay? Because if you just stay with, I was always able to do this, I keep this, it's not that you won't become successful. You may have like a niche where you are successful somehow, and it may change to some degree. But on a mass scale, we are called to do something different. This is the way I read the map. So if we go back to, and now we are in Venus hour, if we go back to that Uranus ingress, and those two events before the full moon are the most important events that we have next week, and on the 29th is the Uranus. Okay, so what else do we have? On August 27, Mars leaves Virgo and enters Libra. Mars is fallen at Libra, but it has its pros and cons, because Mars in Virgo is very detailed, very meticulous, and can be very petty, and is nonetheless passionate. So, yeah, Mars leaves Virgo and enters Libra. This happens on August 27th. Venus will be Venus, like she's the whole month retrograde in Leo. Mercury becomes retrograde on August 23rd already talked about this. Other than that, well, when is the moon in Scorpio? This you probably do want to know. Moon is in Scorpio on August 22nd. It ingresses into Scorpio. It will be trining Saturn and squaring Pluto upon the ingress, and sextiling Sun. So those are the 2.5 days where, if you're sensitive to transits of the moon in Scorpio, which is fallen place of the moon, you want to remember that you're having a bad day, not a bad decade. So just say, I just want to go through this next 2.5 days, and go through it. It changes. Then we have another fallen position of the moon, and that is Capricorn, and it ingresses on the 26th of August into Capricorn. It ingresses while squaring the 29th degree Mars in Virgo. So it's a bit of an ingress. It's a bit annoying, a bit argumentative, a bit psychologically invasive. It does apply to trine the Sun and to sextile Saturn. So sextiling its ruler, although its ruler is retrograde in Pisces. So those could be another a bit depressive days. Again, not the end of the world. It's just you're not waking up jolly in the morning, and you need to kind of like assemble yourself. Those are the moon days. And Sun, like we said, enters Virgo together with the Mercury retrograde. So we talked about the 29th of August as the day where Uranus goes retrograde. It does trine retrograde Mercury on 20 degree of Virgo. It does separate from a trine with Pluto, and it separates from a sextile with Neptune. So this is the week of retrogration. Then we have on September 15, Venus becomes direct while Jupiter is becoming retrograde. We don't get to lay the Venus to rest even when she becomes direct, because both Uranus and Jupiter are retrograde. And on September 11 until October 20, we're going to have a retrograde Uranus on the 22nd degree. This can mean actually that we are discovering something about the things that happened when Uranus was direct 22 degrees Taurus. So it may mean there is not an actual disaster, but we are discovering information, and we are picking up information about mass murder, basically. But there will be Uranus direct on the 22nd degree again. It's every sign has a 22nd degree. When it's an outer planet, it's a more prolonged period. And it's not like when Uranus is going to conjunctal goals, will be jolly and, it's preparing for the next cycle. It's preparing for what we need to understand, where we need to put our money at, where we need to put our values at, what we need to voice. And supportive of our liberation in a way. So that is something that is happening. Venus is already visible. We had the rising of Sirius, the rising of Venus, which I talked about in another video. The rise of Sirius was not so flickerish, and that may mean a bit of a doom and gloom for Europe this coming year. What can be done on a personal level? Work with consecrated Sirius talismans to mitigate this energy, okay? And with lunar talismans. So Sirius and the moon, if you're good with moon magic, then you might be able to do some magic to work through this. So those are things to tend to. um, with Uranus, so you might want to be working with Venus in Taurus if you have Venus in Taurus talismans. Especially if your Venus is your benefic of sect and is okay aspected. That's one way you could work with it, or with the Moon and Venus, kind of to be receptive. In more extreme cases, you might want to work with the gold protective shields. Christopher Warnock still has them in stock, I believe. And you can call all these energies. With Algol, you want to pay attention to what's called Algol minima. There are sites that computate Algol minima. The minima is basically the eclipse of the 2 stars of Algol. And maybe there are 3 stars, I don't know, the eclipse of the Algol point, okay? This is a point where you prefer to refrain to work with Algol because she is in an eclipse phase, and we said traditionally eclipse phases are way too crazy to work with in magic. Like, eclipse is literally saying to you, it's being taken care of. Okay, eclipse is literally saying it's fated, it's being taken care of. If you summon this, it's kind of like you're overdoing it. It's like it's being taken care of. Okay, so you're just making it bigger. You know, it's like too much of a good thing even can do a lot of like mess. I'm not saying that there will not be people who are called to work with these very particular energies. There always is some exception to the rule, and there is the like daredevil thingy to it, and what can I say? You know, learn about what are the significations before you do the daredevil, so you know at least what you are dealing with. But other than that, Venus is great. Algol shielding is wonderful. Maybe you will get some gain with Spica because Ketu is going to be on Spica on the eclipses. Andromeda for Aries is another go-to that I need to explore more. So those are just good energies to harvest. So Sirius, Andromeda, Venus to some degree, Algol, if you understand like how to work with this. It's not rocket science, but you do need to pay attention. You just need to know where is the minima. I can address the Algol when she's not on the minima, when she's not eclipsing. It is a very often happening, but you can go to a simple website, compute Algol minima for your region, and then you can invite white Algol, and so you get your protective shield. Or if you need to do some magic that is interfering with Venus related stuff, the sensuality, the body, the voice, or some sort of psychic attack that are meant to be like sexually invasive or to drive you like verrückt, you know, like crazy, kind of like to make you lose your head, then it is good to call Algol. I say in these cases, if you do it safely, call Algol directly. Like, don't mess with this. Call Algol. She's responsible. She is the mother that's responsible to protect right from these things. Go directly to her. And when it is more like to protect your property or to protect this, and it's not like your physicality, then you can work with Balgadi is great, or you can work with Procyon if it's more like to sweeten. You know, I had a neighbor, one of the neighbors tried to steal a pepper plant that I have. So I just went there very delicately, and there was a neighbor there, and one of the people who live there, and he found the plant, and I said, you know, if I know that it is being taken care of, you can keep it. I just, you know, anyway, I'm going to give you from the peppers, is no problem, but just to make sure that they take care of it. And I still think to buy another pepper plant and to grow it and to give it as a gift. This is Procyon stuff, okay? And then there is Balgadi, which is kind of like a return to sender, so that nobody will interfere, that nobody will invade. And then Balgadi is also about restoration of, no restoration, wealth redistribution. So for Uranus 22, you might want to bring in Deneb Algidi. Saturn, the ruler of Aquarius, is at odds, but it can still work for you in the sense that if we are about to have an economic revolution, a social credit score, like you will own nothing and be happy, it is good to call, Deneb Algidi in that sense. And then Balgadi can also even tell you where to steal from. If you need to steal food, if you need to steal land or to steal a place to live, then it will tell you how to do this ethically and protect you in the process. This is not only protecting from meeting with police, but it also makes meeting with police and with people and officials who will meet the good cops amongst them. And I can say I've been working with Deneb Algadi, and I did meet at the airport cops that were very, very helpful and were very on my side within what they could do. So yes, it is true. And of course, if you're in a position that you don't need to steal anything, then it's even better, and it's going to help you get out of it as well. So not to make it into a habit. It's like if you don't have a choice, you don't have a choice. You will learn where is more ethical to do, but later it can also kind of bring you back to your lane. So it's very useful to work. I'm not afraid to work with Deneb Algadi. I like Deneb Algadi, and it can even restore your faith in humanity a bit when you do this. So that being said, it is also Saturn nature and strongly in Saturn's domain. So it does it the Saturn way. It's very diligent. It will not let you make a move. It will not make you do something that is not in alignment with where you need to be. So yeah, slow and steady win the race. Those are the energies for this week, and those are the energies to work with this week and this kind of like upcoming months. And should I do like signs and stuff? Well, maybe a separate video for Mercury, which I probably already did. Let me see. You know what? Because of the involvement of Uranus also in the Mercury retrograde, we are talking about societal stuff. Okay, it's not so much a personified. We are not living in personal times. It's not so much a personified transit. I said all the things that could be personal, but other than that, whatever happens to you this week that feels a bit unusual or even a bit shocking, try to look for the common theme in humanity. Okay, the word humanity is very strong for the entire Uranus peak that we are having up until the eclipses. And it's time to ingrain the word humanity, what humanity goes through, what humanity needs. How are you a part of humanity? How is what's happening with you within the interpersonal relationship is a part of the great whole? That is the way that I would view the interactions now. And this is why I found these things less appropriate to interpret personally. It's not like a lunation. It's more like the outer planet meets the inner planet, and both of them are going retrograde. My advice to you, whatever happens to you that has to do with what you put in the bank, how you exchange money, how you give an agreement, including handshake, the communication that you have, sudden types of revelations, communications, documents missing, documents found, those are things, what you read about in the news and the different ways in which it affects you, Those are the things that I would pay the most attention to, and try to understand how are they a part of something that happens for humanity right now. How are you a part of the spirit of the time? Uranus is where it was in 1939, not 1936, not 1929, 1939. And I don't remember the Twitter person who tweeted that. I know Dan was probably responding to that. I don't think it was Dan. I don't remember who said that. So I guess it's one of the people that I don't know, like on the day-to-day Twitter. So yeah, like if you have the name of the person, then put it in the comments below. Uranus is exactly where it was in 1939. This is what we're heading in. It goes into the 22nd degree of to kill and be killed on September 11, 2023. It's not like we can ignore the numbers, okay? So those are the times. It can be that the minor petty things that you have with Mercury becoming actually benefic for you becomes way more emphasized than it usually is with a Mercury retrograde. And this can be a relationship, a spouse, a conversation with a child, bureaucratic thing you need for work, promotions that you get or don't get, applying to studies or traveling abroad, experiences of hospitalization, jailing, or something like this, or retreats that you need to have or can't have, your daily routine, what you put in your mouth. Maybe you need to buy food, and the certain types of food that you want is too expensive, then you find there's salmonella in it or something like this. So food poisoning, your skills, maybe a program that you need to upload, an update that you need to have, but he's asking details from you that you're not willing to give, and something like this. So something around the house, your doors, maybe you need to fix the door or fix the lock, something of that sort. So some very petty thing becomes an inconvenience that brings a certain eureka, a certain truth that is a part of the spirit of the times. I'm going to try and give a concrete example. I was in my previous phone, I did not have a place to update an application that is kind of like Cash App. And so I was no longer able to quickly charge money from people unless they would like agree to transfer money to my bank account and something like this. And to update it, I did not have a place to do it in my phone. And then when I got the new phone, I found out that it asks certain details of you that infringe your privacy, and it's just no longer good to do so. So now that petty thing became like, oh, it's actually better that I don't have it installed. And there are so many other changes that were happening at the time, also in my country, that I guess it's just sometimes it's okay to leave things messy for a while. So another concrete example I may have for this, well, finally I had to work with my checks for the landlord, and I had to look for the checks, and I booked the check. I think I booked for another book of checks that I can write for my rent, And I discovered both that my checks have an IBAN on it, so I can charge internationally, and that um, they sent my bank credit card to the wrong address, so we kind of had to cancel that. And what that meant was that I had to work different with credit than I used to do before. And then now there is another thing. The last time I went to my bank, to the bank, the branch that I work with, is I actually literally saw, I kid you not, the word Aries written on the wall of the building of the bank. Literally the word Aries. Okay? So obviously something is on. And Aries is in my second house, conjuncting my Mercury, which is the ruler of the fourth and seventh. So this is my income, uh, I don't know. And what this particular branch in the bank means for me, other than I got the phone there, when I lost it, like I did not have an ability to have a phone, and I told this story. It was the Sedna story episode, but also it's kind of like a place that is kind of nice and doesn't have too many people, and is easy and welcoming for me to go, even though I have to drive by public transportation like 200 kilometers to get there. So imagine that this is what you need to do to kind of have to reach your bank without an appointment. So then the last time I was there, so Aries. So Aries is both the variant, it's like the poisoning that we have virally, and it's also kind of like corruption, but also just something going on there that I could not ignore, and I know it pertains to the eclipses. So some more information is coming in. And I was actually last time paying for a Medusa candle that I bought from someone who is sex trafficking survivor. And as I was transferring the cash, it was a bank transference, and I was transferring to her friend. Then I had a talk with the person, the cashier, asked me if I want a credit card. I said, well, the problem with the bank credit card is that if I went away from a violent relation, they want to send it to the place where I'm registered, and I can't even register right now in the new place, both for my safety, but it's also there's a problem with registration in the municipality, and so I can't even access my bank website, and she could not help me. And I told her that also the lady that I'm transferring this money to, I'm transferring to her friend. She is a survivor of violence, and she can't have it, this money coming to her bank account. So it was kind of like, this is so weird, because during COVID we had an increase of domestic violence, and many people, men and women, had to run and had to be on the go, and we have all these problems to register in the municipality. So it is so weird that you can't really have a credit card in this situation, because it has to be sent to the registered address, which is now very much not advised. So she just agreed with me. It's nothing to do, but she couldn't sell me a credit card because, that's the situation. And Aries has a lot to do with this, okay? It's those people that, because of the corruption, they were denied the access to having a stable income, to having a stable access to their bank account, to work with credit, and that's a big deal, right? So this is something to think about. And you think also, keep Aries in mind, because we are heading to an eclipse on Aries. So keep Aries in mind. Those things that happen with trade, with banking, with transferences, with contracts, conditions, maybe you have rights, or maybe you needed forgiveness, the student loan forgiveness, but you have to apply certain documents, and maybe you ran away from a connection, you're not registered anywhere, or something like this. Maybe you experience such things too. Know that the eclipse is going to bring up events, okay? And think, what do you want? What do you want? Aries is innovation. Aries, the sign, is innovation. So, yeah, thank you for watching. I hope I did this justice. It's a quite potent week in a quite potent couple of months that are quite potent globally. So um, yeah, and this is why I made a forecast that I don't usually do. So perhaps it should have been a bi-weekly, but there's so much this week that we already discussed. And so the Jupiter retrograde and Venus direct that is happening September 14 or 4, I don't remember. And then those I will have to address in another episode. Bye-bye. So yes, you can subscribe to me, of course, if you want to receive more notification. Now, if you want me to do forecasts that are weekly, this is not a problem. It's something that I can do, but I need you to tell me in the comments and to request questions from me of what do you want me to speak about, so I can. There are so many things that I could speak about, of the things that I enjoy speaking about, and if you tell me what you want to hear, then I will speak about those things first. So that is, and I know I owe you another Dodeca Moria episode of a study live with me. So you just subscribe, click the bell. Ways that you can donate this channel. If you can go on Twitter, there is a family that I am retweeting their posts again, and they need housing. If you donate, I'm Talishir on Twitter. Look for my site on Twitter. See these posts that I share. If you donate enough money to keep this family housed for at least 1 month, then you get a free reading from me. The types of reading that I give is natal readings, year ahead readings, that is focused on perfected timelines and transits and eclipses. Okay, I look very deeply at the eclipses, if they are going to affect you and how. And yes, I do look at solar return charts. I don't do like solar return reading. I will just add that to the things that I'm looking at. I do relational readings, and I will always focus on your chart first. I will see a composite, I will see a symmetry, and my tip that I give is that if you want to give me a chart of another person that you didn't ask for permission, I will not look at it, because on the scale I prefer to tell you why is it not good for you, so that you will leave them alone. But I also will tell you that 99% of the time you better save your money to do something more meaningful, like a relational reading, what is going to make you have progress in life, because that person is probably not right for you if you feel like you have to go behind their backs to get their chart. Maybe in some cases is, but most cases not. So yes, thank you for being here, and have a relatively okay day.